your password safe, avoiding using like shared resource inboxes in EUCP is our recommended practice. We don't want you guys sharing accounts. Think before clicking suspicious links. Feel free to forward any suspicious like communication about AE offerings to solar@austinenergy.com. Make sure you comply with data handling policies. Each employee with a EECP login should have a FACTA form signed and sent to us. Make sure you keep your desk clean. Documents with solar customers PPI should not be left out on your desk and unattended. Make sure you're updating your software and use a VPN when working remotely. And if possible, use a multi-factor authentication. And then some announcements. We have a new Customer Renewable Solutions event calendar on our website. This will be listing all of our upcoming events, including our solar contractor meetings. So if you do want to just check in about when the next meeting is, it will be on this page. The link is also right here, and we'll send out a PDF of these slides at the end of the day. And I'll make sure that, I'm emailing you guys this link so you can save it. We're also going to have a feedback poll at the end of this meeting. We do have some new slides and would just love your feedback so that we could keep improving these meetings, making them engaging and interesting for y'all. So yeah, if you can, please fill out that feedback form when we send it. And then we also have new design criteria manual changes, and I'll let Megan talk about that.
Thanks, Ruby. Good morning, everyone. So as Ruby stated, we've got some fiscal year 25 design criteria manual changes that were coming down the pipeline. Please do keep in mind that this is exclusively to section 1.12.0. So if you guys have questions on what that new DCM is going to look like or what the language is going to look like, please do feel free to reach out. For now, I'll go over kind of a high-level overview of what those changes entailed, and then please feel free to ask questions later on in the slides if something sparks your interest. So just a note at the top, most changes are editorial or for clarification. We're just trying to make sure that we're better aligning with the NEC and IRC, so just not overreaching in the DCM or the DIG, and a lot of the language was just clarified in what we already have existing. We also improved communication by providing inspection sequence for solar instrument CT rated services. So you guys, we've got a sort of how-to now sort of spelled out where you call for the 304 temp ahead of getting a CT meter inspection and installed. And that is laid out in the DCM as well. We're replacing the requirement for inverters to be on the approved list published by the California Energy Commission. Instead to be just listed and labeled for utility interaction by a nationally recognized testing laboratory. We recognize that there are other laboratories besides the CEC, so just kind of opening it up to other potential labs as well. We added the requirement for ESS disconnects to be installed in site and within 10 feet of the DG service. That shouldn't be anything new to anybody on this call, but again, just kind of adding clarity there. We also modified the requirement for bollards when an ESS system is installed within a garage to better align with residential code. So if you guys have seen those diagrams that talk about, the safety zones and the places where you would and should install bollards, please pay attention to that. That's going to be really important for us. But of course, we want to modify it so that it aligns with that IRC code and is not replacing it. Remove the prohibition of installation of energy storage devices in a dwelling unit as long as the ESS device is listed and labeled for indoor use. So we know that there's more and more products coming online every day. Some of these battery systems will be able to go inside. So as long as they're listed and labeled for that use, then we can allow that. If not, then obviously you'll have to continue to use those outdoors and install them outdoors. All right, out of the section, point of connection for DG services after the revenue meter to make the differentiation between customer side and utility side DG connections clear. and then improve communication by reorganizing the info within the utility side DG service connections section. So just a few points for clarity, just tried to, again, sort of streamline this. If you have questions on any of that or want to see the new text, please do reach out to us at solarinspections@austinenergy.com. If you don't have questions, or if you guys are more or less okay with moving forward, then we will have this published, I think, in the next couple of months. So please do just reach out in the meantime if you get feedback, and we'll keep an eye out for that. And I'll turn it back over to Ruby. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. And just a reminder to mute your mic. All right. All right. Austin Energy solar rates. Sorry about that. Solar rates. So Austin Energy does not net meter solar production. Since 2012, AE has compensated customers for their solar generation through the value of solar bill credit. This year, we launched the Commercial Solar Standard Offer Program to enable customers to host installations for our community solar program. These rates are based on costs avoided by local solar generation, and both rates are updated every 3 years to trend with market changes. Some key differences to point out between the value of solar rate and the commercial standard offer rate. The end user of the solar for value of solar is going to be the customer on site. And then for standard offer, it's going to be the community solar program. The payee for the value of solar rate is going to be the account holder. And that's going to be a monthly on-bill credit towards electrical charges. And that does not have cash value. So it's only paid to electrical charges. For the commercial standard offer tariff, the payee is going to be the system owner. That could be the host or third party. And it does have cash value that's paid out in quarterly checks or electronic payments. Another huge important difference is if an application is required to receive this rate. For value of solar, there is no application required. Anybody installing solar in Austin Energy territory will receive the value of solar rate. For commercial standard offer, you do need to go through a participating contractor and submit an application through ECP. That needs to be approved by Austin Energy and before you can install, or else it's ineligible for that rate. And then these are the rates down here. For under a megawatt, for value of solar, it's 9.91 cents per kilowatt hour. And then standard offer is 11.24 cents per kilowatt hour. And then make sure to note the different meters required for each rate. All right, and then looking at the value of solar bill credit on an actual bill from Austin Energy, the total generation is equal to all monthly solar production. So this is going to include the energy used by the customer and the energy sent back to the grid. The whole house consumption is equal to all the energy used on site. So the value of solar rate is applied to the total generation. And then customers are also billed for their whole house consumption, regardless of if it's coming from solar or the grid. And like I said before, the value of solar rate does not have cash value. It's only applied to electrical charges on the bill. And then a little different with the standard offer tariff. So the system host's electrical bill does not change at all once the solar is installed. This bill, the sample bill, is going to be sent to the system owners, and that is just a monthly bill for the interconnection service. The total generation is going to be measured by the receive read on the meter, and the standard offer tariff is applied to that total generation. Austin Energy buys the generation for the community solar program, and Austin Energy will be making payments to the system owner on a quarterly basis. All right, and I'm going to hand it over to Athena.
Thank you, Ruby. Hi, everybody. Good morning. All right, so solar and Austin Energy incentive programs. Did I take control? There we go. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so welcome to our Austin Energy Solar Program. So we have a couple of bullet points that apply to all of our programs. And the first one here is that only participating solar contractors are able to offer our rebates and incentives. So by being here today, you guys are already starting off on a good foot, being a part of our program. And then our next one is that it's the participating solar contractor's responsibility to apply for the rebates and the incentives. So make sure that you have all that you need. Our rebates and incentives are through the EECP online rebate portal. So you'll need to log into that and do the rebates on your customers' behalfs. Incentives are designed to go to the customer who is adding solar. If it's going to the developer, there needs to be a W9, sorry. And more information in that in the next slides. Rebates and incentives are subject to change. So we do have tiers and things like that. So please just make sure that if there's any changes, we will contact you with that information. Of course, any changes will also be in these meetings. So keep attending, making sure that you're looking out in your inboxes for program information. And then Austin Energy will send out a letter of approval, which is required before you all install. If you're looking to do the rebate, you will need these letters before you install. And then lastly, they are optional. Our rebate programs are optional for customers. So if for any reason you install before our approval letters, your customers will not get into the program, but of course you guys are still willing to come in here and be a part of our program. All right, so our programs are by the meter type and by the property. So for if you were a residential property and it's residentially metered, then that would be the rebate program. For multifamily, we've got two options. It depends on the meter. So the resident, if it's residentially metered, then you can go through our shared solar program, and this will be a special billing system where the tenants will get the value of solar, and then the rebate will go to the property owner. If the multifamily property is commercially metered, then they're eligible for our commercial programs. And if it is a commercial property, it will also be for commercial programs. So we've got our capacity-based, performance-based, and then our standard offer program. All right, so residential solar rebate program. The way that this program works is that the customer will first take our online quiz, and they will give you their rebate or their reference number. Once you have that reference number, they will need to fill out the customer agreement form, and your team will upload it into EECP along with some other documentation. Once we review it, then we will send you all a rebate confirmation letter. This is your good to install letter. Once you receive that letter, and it's going to be emailed to you all as well as your customer, you're good to install. And then once that's good, the rebate will go to the customer. All right, for our multifamily solar program, I mentioned this earlier, but the way that it works is that the one-time installation rebate will go to the property owner, and then the on-bill solar credits will go to the tenants. And this is for residentially metered multifamily properties. Our rates are here for our nonprofit customers. It's $1 per watt. And then for for-profit properties, it's 60 cents per watt. All right, so commercial solar programs. We have two commercial solar programs. One is a capacity-based and one is a performance-based. For For our capacity-based, it's for nonprofits and the smaller systems. This is a one-time check at the end of the project. And then for the larger systems, there is 3 categories, 8, 6, and 4 cents per kWh. And this is an on-bill monthly credit. So it will be on your customer's bill after installation for a period of 5 months. So this is based on the generation. All right, so the way that the customer solar incentives work is that we will go through and have documentation. So the customer agreement form will be signed by the customer and you all and any subs that you guys are working with. We'll have an encumbrance period, which will be 120 days for you all to get the DGPA and the contract signed and approved. Once we have that information, then we will send you the letter of intent to fund. This is your letter that says, yes, please, you are able to install. Once that goes in, y'all are ready to install. Just a quick reminder that funding will not be allocated to projects that have been installed before you receive the LOI. All right, and so lastly, this is our newest program, and it is the Commercial Solar Standard Offer Program. And so this is where we have 3 parties. So we have a system host, a system owner, and a participating solar contractor. To be a part of the, or to receive the standard offer rate, you will need to be a part of this program. So for systems less than 1 megawatt, it's 11.24 cents per kWh. And then for systems greater than 1 megawatt, it's 8.41 cents per kWh. And so these payments are issued to the system owner no less than 3 months, every 3 months. And the calculation is our system generation times the prevailing rate. All right, okay, so I talked a lot about all of our programs. We have a lot going on here. So this is kind of a summary that'll hopefully help you guys all out. Please, print it, put it on your cubicle, all the good things. So we've got our residential, which has some prep here, solar quiz. You'll submit your documents. There will be a letter that's sent out. And then at the end, we just want you to make sure get all that final invoice, all those documents uploaded into EECP. Same thing for commercial documents. We do have an encumbrance period, but once you get that letter, good to install. And again, we'll have some final documentation. For our multifamily and commercial standard offer program, there's a little bit of prep, some more documentation, and you can find these in the EECP portal. And then as well, there will be some final documentation at the end. All right, and I think I've said this before, but I'm just going to say it real quick one more time so that it's implemented into everyone's brain. Funding is not allocated to projects that have not received the LOI, LOA confirmation letter. Please make sure to get an approval letter before you install. All right, and so lastly, we've got our capacity for our programs. So the standard offer is at 36%. CBI, we're on our 4th tier and it's at 5% capacity filled. And then for PBI tier 2, 35%. All right. And with that, I will hand it back to Ruby. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Athena. All right. Program guidelines and our customer agreement form. So for our program guidelines, the purpose is to outline the procedures and qualifications for Austin Energy's rebate programs. It will assess eligibility and funding, participating contractor obligation, installation requirement, and required documentation. Where you can find this under publications in your EECP portal, it's going to be a downloadable PDF. And if you do have any issues finding it, feel free to email solar@austinenergy.com and we're happy to send those to you. For the customer agreement form, so this is a form that will confirm important information about the solar installation and program, and just to ensure, that all of that information has been communicated to the customer accurately. Things that it will list: contractor information, customer information, project information, size, cost, stuff like that, and then rebate information. Again, you can find it in our EECP portal under publications. Each program will have its own program guidelines and customer agreement form, and both are required for project submittal. So make sure that this is uploaded when you're submitting that application in EECP. And we will ask for corrections if it looks inaccurate. Some frequently asked questions about our customer agreement form. Customers must initial the agreement on each of the lines for each of the statements. Subcontractors are allowed but must be disclosed and included in the CAF. For residential, the customers are required to take our solar ed course and exam prior to signing a contract. That confirmation number is going to be listed on the CAF. And that also has to be linked to the applicant, and we will look that up in EECP. If the estimated system production is more than 110% of the customer's consumption, the oversizing waiver section of the CAF must be completed. List the reason for the oversizing, and we will review it. And other things to note: make sure to indicate if there are batteries included, make sure you have the AC and DC conversion rate correct, and make sure the incentive amount matches in EECP. All right, and then some registration requirements and program compliance. So how do you become a participating contractor? So first you will need to take is to register as a city vendor. That will allow you to bid on City of Austin projects. With that vendor ID number, you will then be able to register in EECP as a or submit a registration application in EECP to be a participating contractor. We will review that application, and part of that application is going to be submitting required documents such as your TDLR, license, workers' comp, liability, auto insurance, and our signed handbook and code of conduct. We also require that participating contractors do at least our administrative and technical training before joining our programs. This is just to ensure that you are familiar with our program requirements and that you have all the resources you need to successfully complete EECP applications. Any registration questions can be directed towards our Solar at inbox as well. And then ongoing compliance, we ask that you comply with our guidelines found in our contractor handbook, our code of conduct, and to be in EECP and submitting enrollments, we require that each EECP user signs a FACTA form, and that will be uploaded to EECP as well. You can find the handbook and our code of conduct on our website. And if you need the FACTA form, just reach out to SolarAt and we can send that to you as well. Each document needs to be signed annually for each EECP user. We will reach out if you're out of compliance with that requirement. And yeah, we'll just give you a heads up. All right, and then shade analysis requirements. So your shade analysis should include a layout that displays where each measurement was taken or drone flight path, and which identifies any objects omitted from the report. Make sure that all of your EECP measures are matching your shade analysis, and the TSRF is at least 75% or above. And we ask that you provide a shade analysis within 10 business days of request. Are there any questions? Looks like Megan answered the last question. But feel free to drop questions as we go, and we will get those answered. All right, handing it over to Megan.
All right, sounds like there weren't any other questions. I did see David's question, so hopefully that answers it. Please do feel free to reach out or add in the chat if you've got others. But looking at the life of the solar project and what's the installation process in Austin, let's keep going. That's where I can actually move the slide myself. Thanks, Ruby. All righty, so what is the process? Who does it entail? What happens? And where does it happen? So this is the life cycle that you guys are probably pretty well familiar with and have seen before again and again. So obviously going through application, permitting, installation, inspection to getting your PV meter, and then project closure. So this is that life cycle is in Austin. And then we've of course got different portals, different places that you need to navigate to in order to fill out either rebate information at each step, permitting information, or just take some action. So what that will look like is that if you're in the initial application stage of the rebate, you want to contact the solar team with any questions. What you need to provide in that case is the solar ed exam number, the customer agreement form with all the correct signatures, and then the system layout. And you're going to do that on the ECP processing tool. One thing to keep in mind is that all of the links at the top are actual hyperlinks that will take you directly to emailing these teams. As well as the links at the bottom. So once you guys have a copy of the slides, if you're curious about who these teams are or just want to get more info, please do feel free to click through these and figure out how to get a hold of these teams. For permitting, you're going to contact Development Services. That belongs to DSD. So if there are permit questions, like you're unable to submit the application or you've got a vendor registration question, that's going to go to those guys. What you're looking for there is the aux power permit. And of course, the DGPA will be attached to that as well as the wire diagram on that permit application. You'll submit all of that to AB&C portal. And then once it's approved, assuming it's either gone through AE review or not and passed, you can pay for that permit and get it active and begin the work. That takes us to installation. If you've got questions about your design or want to set up a pre-con meeting or a RIF, anything like that, you'd reach out to the solar inspections team. That also could include pre-wires, meter variance questions, shutdown questions, and then final invoice is something you'll need to upload to ECP prior to processing that installation step and moving it forward. And again, both of those things, you'll request the inspection through AB&C, and then you'll upload that invoice to ECP and pass it along to the post-inspection step. Alrighty, once we're at inspections, you can of course contact us again at solarinspections@austinenergy.com. What we're looking for there is a past final inspection. We'll be reviewing the inspection checklist that's on page 77 to 79 of the DIG. So if you guys are curious about what we're looking for there, please do feel free to go and look at that checklist. Once it's final and you guys receive the PV meter, that is actually when you would have permit closure. So that's when you've got that final permit status and then also PTO. You will get all of these notifications through AB&C at this point. So just keep in mind that if you are looking for a status update, please feel free to look there first, and hopefully you'll get the info that you need. Alrighty, next step is metering. Of course, we're looking for the PV meter installation, assuming that meter install passes and everything looks good. The DMO team will install the meter, and then you will get a notification that your permit is closed and that you now have PTO. If for some reason it's canceled, or if for some reason there's some issue with the meter, the PV meter being installed, we will let you guys know. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen from time to time where you have something that still looks awry once the meter team gets there, and so it needs to be addressed before we can come back out and install that PV meter. And then, of course, closure. This refers to both the permit and the ECP application. If you've got questions about this, you can contact the solar team. If you've got questions about permit closure, of course, reach out to solarinspections@austinenergy.com.
what we're looking for in the last few steps of the ECP application is the quality assurance review, any QA corrections that come out of that review, and then of course the final payment and check issuance. And just a couple things to note on here. Of course, we've got DSD contact info below, as well as DMO contact info, if and when you need those as well. Alrighty. So looking at commercial projects that are less than 500 kW, for all of these projects, you'll need to submit a DGPA and wire diagram with each permit. As you guys are probably pretty familiar, of course, DGPA projects require review and AE approval if they are greater than or equal to 25 kW, if they're on the downtown network, or if they include grid-tied spinning generators. So keep those in mind. Any of those three qualities or classifications will require that AE review. You need to provide PE sealed electrical one-line diagrams if the panels are not parallel with the roof, if batteries are included, or if these are commercial projects. And then, of course, please do consult that approved metering equipment to make sure that your equipment is on that list prior to installing. If you need to, you can request a metering field consultation ahead of time to make sure that this is adequate and appropriate. Alrighty, looking at projects that are over 500 kilowatts and above, you'll need to submit an interconnection application for review and attach the completed DGPA, the distributed generation application and interconnection agreement as well. And those can be found within DIG Appendix D. So if you're curious about what that looks like, please feel free to consult the DIG. You need to provide PE sealed electrical one-line diagrams and schematic drawings. Confirm the existing CT metering equipment is also on that approved metering equipment list. And then for anything over 1 megawatt, you'll also need a feasibility study. If you have several grouped projects, so they're in the same area on the same feeder, please do contact solar inspections at austinenergy.com to confirm the total project capacity can be accommodated with existing infrastructure. That's just to make sure if you've got grouped projects and we're not considering, each transformer for each project, we're kind of looking at it collectively, and that is really helpful for our planning. So please do let us know if that's the case. All right, and I think with that, I'll pass it back over to Ruby. Thank you all.
And I'm going to pass it to Athena.
Hey, everybody. All right. So take control. Awesome. Okay. So overview of how to use EECP. Okay. So first, when you log into EECP, this is what you'll see. So on the left, we've got announcements, and on the right, publications. There is a step-by-step guide for EECP. That's super helpful. There you'll also find all of our customer agreement forms for the various programs, as well as the guidelines and any other information will be published there. This is a web-based application, and it's used to review in-flight enrollments, and then also the rebate confirmation letter, LOI, LOAs, those are going to come through EECP. So for the best practice, please make sure that all individuals at your company who will be doing the rebates have their individual account. We'd like one login per person. Worst practice is sharing individuals' accounts. Please make sure that you guys are not sharing these things. We do want to make sure that everyone has their documents together. Of course, you can see information from our customers. So we want to make sure that everything is all good and safe and sound. So please do not share individual accounts. And then if you are having issues log again, the most common issues are because there's some paperwork that's expired and needs to get updated, or maybe your password has changed. And if you haven't logged in 30 days or more, your account will be inactivated. So if any of those things are issues, please reach out to Austin Energy, EES Contractor at austinenergy.com, and they will be able to fix those issues or let you know what's going on. All right, so for the residential workflow step, in EECP, you'll see it's called application. This is owned by the contractor, and this is where you will input your customer's solar reference number. So once they pass the quiz, they'll give you that number. You input it into EECP. along with the customer agreement form and the layout. There's also a page for measures where you'll put information there. And then if there's any warnings, just make sure to look into those. Afterwards, it'll go to the pre-inspection step. This is where you are going to receive the solar confirmation letter. So this belongs to Austin Energy. We're going to review and make sure everything looks good. Once everything does, we'll send out that letter, and it's a commitment to the $2,500 that your customer will receive at the end of the project, as long as all of the things fall into place. So once you get that letter, you're good to install. And then you will also need to go into EECP and upload anything that has changed, the final invoice that's signed, and then a warranty. Once that's there, you'll process that request and then it will send over to us. You also need to request an inspection. So just to let you all know, the final inspection does not happen in EECP. You'll request your inspection through the AB&C portal. Once you pass final inspection, your enrollment will go through to the post-inspection state where we verify that everything has passed. And then the QA review, where we're looking at documentation. If there's anything that needs to be corrected, we'll go through a correction loop for QA corrections. And then finally, we get to initiate payment, where the issue, where Austin Energy will issue the rebate check. All right, so that was residential. Here is commercial. And so it's a similar process where we start with application. Within the application stage, we'll have an encumbrance letter. This is basically like, if things are correct, we will be able to fund the project. This is where you need to upload a CAF, a layout, and then a bill or a history of consumption, or if it's a new build, just an estimate of what the building will likely consume. Once there, we need to get approval from council. So there's an RCA step. Then we go through pre-inspection, again, just making sure that all the information is correct. Commercial does have a lot more paperwork, so it does take a little bit longer. But once we pass pre-inspection, then the letter of intent will be sent out through EECP to you and your customer. Through the installation phase, you all are good to install. You've received that letter. In EECP, you'll, for new builds, enter the account number and the revenue meter number. For everything, you will have to upload a final invoice. If there's any changes, upload those as well, and then process that installation step. You will also need to request a final inspection. And again, this happens outside of EECP. Go through AB&C portal to request those inspections. Once the final inspection is complete and passed, EECP will be in post-inspection, and then we'll have a QA review to check out, make sure all the documents are good. Same thing as before, if there are any issues, it'll do a correction loop. And then at the end, we'll initiate the payment. And so if it is through the CBI program, your customer will receive their check. And then if it is a PBI, then the customer will receive their on-bill credits. All right, okay, so last program is our standard offer workflow step. And so again, this is a little more information, a lot more paperwork. For these larger programs, you'll start an application new and you'll submit your documentation. So you've got your CAF, system layout, the FEIN verification number, and then a feasibility study. And of course, we need an AE bill or a picture of the meter. You'll also enter information about the system in the measures page. We'll do an encumbrance, and this is where we will create a new address. This is going to be an address of the DG system, and that's so that our billing can, we can have that with our billing team. Then the application will have an approval, and so this is the letter of approval, so LOA. And that's when you receive when you have like the good to install. And again, this goes to you all as well as the customer. Once it's completed, request the inspection through A, B, and C. And then you will also do your installation step where you upload the final invoice. Anything that's changed, please also upload those as well. During the post inspection, the new account will be created for the system owner. And then Austin Energy will work directly with the system owner at this point for those details. We'll have a QA, QC, final documentation. If we need to update anything else, we will do a correction loop. And then at the end, we'll have a payment verification where we will process the recs and issue production payments. And again, Austin Energy is going to work directly with the system owner on that one. Okay. And then I believe I'm going to pass it off to Kim.
All right, thank you, Athena. So this is how to process residential rebates in ECP. This is the application and pre-inspection phase. For a detailed step-by-step guide to processing ECP, we do have guides in the processing application. So the publication. So you can always review it there if you need step-by-step guides. For your application information page, your reference number should be the solar education confirmation number provided to you by the customer. The construction type is either going to be new or existing. And we get this question a lot. This is if the home is an existing home or a new home. If you're going to add battery, you're going to also add it here. It's going to be an option for yes or no. Addition to existing system is either going to be yes or no as well. Your account number field will populate customer information and the premise ID for existing constructions. The applicant and account holder may be different. The person applying for the rebate needs to needs to be either on the account or the TCAT listed property owner. Developers of new build projects can be the applicant if they provide a W-9. For residential, the mailing address is where the check is delivered. The default mailing address is the same as the installation address. So here you can determine if the applicant is the Austin Energy account holder. The payee must be one of the following: an Austin Energy account holder, an Austin Energy authorized user, a TCAT verified property owner. Developer for new builds can also be one of the following. And don't forget to save before proceeding on this page. Otherwise, all your information will be wiped clean and you will have to start over. And a good pro tip is to have all signatures and names on the documents be consistent and match TCAT if necessary. All right, this is where your documents will be housed. Documents cannot be deleted, only added to. The documents that we require for the residential is going to be your CAF, your layout, a shade analysis if necessary, and your project timeline extension request. Your layout. Your layout does have to list certain components in order for us to process the application. Some of those components is going to be your site plan, and all the details on your layout must match what you input in ECP. And some of those details entail your knapsack. This provides accountability in the case that something is problematic with the design. If you can't get your knapsack, something that we can supplement is the PE stamp. But if that information does need to be required on your layout, as well as your inverter, the modules, your orientations, your azimuth, your pitch. Some other details is going to be your company name. This should be you, the company that holds the contract. Subcontractors may be used for installation, but the primary contractor must hold the contract. in your customer name as well as the installation address. This allows cross-referencing through Google Maps to check for potential shading issues. Your measures page. To edit on your measures page, you're going to actually click in the white space. This is going to activate these pop-ups to pop up. I'm sorry, these fields to pop up so they can become editable. So you're going to add your total cost, which equals your solar or battery costs. When entering your orientations, we only have a minimum, I believe, of 5 orientations. So it's best to group the arrays that share the same tilt and azimuth together in order to make sure that you're putting all of the information in ECP. If any of it is missing, the application will be sent back. There is a minimum array tilt of 5 degrees, as well as your input fields. You're going to enter your contractor estimated annual generation, KW8, as listed on your CAF, as well as entering the customer annual energy consumption, KWH, as is listed on your CAF as well. Once you have all these components added into the measures tab, you're going to hit process. So we do have warnings on ECP, and they definitely have been a rescue in some situations. So these pop-up warnings will occur for different reasons if your application does not meet certain guidelines, depending on which rebate you're applying for. So a few of those pop-ups are production. If your production is too low, the TSRF is under 75%, you will receive the pop-up that's on the right. If your production is too high and it's over 108 PV watts, you will also receive a pop-up. If your production is too high, over 110% offset of your consumption, as well, if the cost per watt is high and the batteries are not included, you will also receive a pop-up. The warning will advise you on how to fix the problem before submitting your application. This will also allow you to correct your application before submitting. I'm sorry, if you click cancel, this will also help you correct your application before submitting it. If you don't make the corrections, then the application will go through the correction loop. All right, and here's another warning. If your pop-up warnings will occur if the cost per watt is too high, you're going to hit cancel to include the batteries or revise costs to exclude non-solar items or new non-solar roof, EV charging or generators. All right, and this is how the correction process happens. Your application is reviewed. If changes are needed, the reviewer places the application on hold with the reason code application incomplete. And then from there, you will receive an email. Once you receive this email, the step 2 is going to be contractors can now edit your measures. Once you make your changes, you're going to go back to the reason code and click requested updates completed. And then you're going to hit save. And then from there, we will receive an email in regards to reviewing your application. And as a pro tip, because we also receive our own email once the updates are completed, you don't have to call or email the conservation line. I'm sorry, the conversation hotline when once these are completed, because we also receive an email automatically. All right, and this is the submittal process. It's complete when the Austin Energy issues a solar rebate confirmation letter. For residential, and for commercial is considered a letter of intent. And this is what this letter looks like. All right, and I'll pass it back.
All right, that's me, how to process a residential rebate application. All right, so I'm going to go through the residential process. It's pretty similar for all things. So we'll talk about specific for residential here, but know that this will be applicable to most of the other programs. So When you're in the installation workflow step, please, if you're updating anything, click on that white space and it'll activate those values so that you can update them if you needed to. The installation workflow step is the last chance that the contractors will have on their end to update any measures. So if there are any changes, please make sure to do them within the installation workflow step. Also, if there are updates, please make sure to update or upload an updated layout. After installation, you will also upload an invoice. They must be signed after the install. And what we're looking for with this is that there is a description of the equipment, you know, the make and the model, quantity of solar panels, how many inverters, things like that. The application project cost should match what's on the invoice. Please make sure that the customer is signing that invoice. And then also we want to see yours, customer name, company name, and then the customer name and installation. So all of these things, we're looking that they're matching all the previous documentation. So if your customer, there's more than one person living in the house, make sure that that same customer is signing all the documentation. That's what we're looking for here. And then the last thing that I want to mention is that we do want the 10-year equipment workmanship warranty. Make sure that that stuff is included. Okay. All right, and then requesting inspections. Is that me too? Yes, okay, cool. Oh, I think this is, I'm gonna hand it off to Megan, sorry.
No worries, thanks, Adina. Alrighty, so requesting inspections. Again, this is information that you guys already have. This is not new, although if you've got questions, of course, feel free to reach out to solarinspections@austinenergy.com and we can help walk you through that. But what this looks like today is that you'll go to the Austin Build and Connect portal, A, B, and C, and log in. You go to the top of that page on that sort of subset of tabs and click My Inspections. That will open up any and all permits that you are actively engaged in and ready to perform inspections on. So you just select the checkboxes for the permits which you're requesting inspections for, and then you'll move forward saying request inspections. On that next page, you're asked to provide contact details and any notes for that inspection. So please do add those contact details and any availability notes on that inspection request. And then once that's all submitted, you can hit submit, and then we will receive that on our end. We receive the request within our permitting system and then schedule inspections on the permit directly. So you should start to see those inspection confirmations, times and dates, results, things like that, all coming from A, B, and C at this point. Once you look at the portal and you see that it's assigned to an inspector with a new date and time, that will also let you know that it is in fact scheduled. So if you don't, for whatever reason, know where those emails are going, please do reach out to us so we can confirm that inspection time for you. But you can also consult the A, B, and C portal as well. So hopefully that is something that you guys are familiar with and are already doing. All right, so one note about the invoice here. Again, looking at the ECP system, you want to make sure to submit this prior to going to the post-inspection step. So this is the last step really you'll take before submitting that inspection request and then submitting your rebate application to the post-inspection step. Each of these invoices should have the company name consistent with what's in the ECP and on the CAF and on the contractor with the customer. It should also include the customer name and installation address, which also must match the application and CAF. Customer signature should be the same person who signed the CAF. Again, these are things that we will look out for. So please do make sure to get all the right signatures and all the right dates at the right times. Date of signing should be after the installation is complete. Again, we want to make sure you guys aren't having these docs pre-signed. Just again, so it's sort of flowing through that process as expected. The equipment description should also be present. Make, model, quantity of solar modules and inverters must be listed. You don't need to list all of the elements here, so don't need to include racking and inverter specs here, although of course those should be included with your plan set. And then the total project cost on this invoice should match the application costs. They are not eligible for federal tax credits or local incentives. So please, or costs rather that are not eligible should be itemized separately. So please do keep those separate. And then of course, please do include the note about the warranty as well. Alrighty. I feel like we're going around here, but how to process residential rebates, requesting inspections. I'm not sure if I went backwards. Yeah, it looks like I did. Okay. So that said, sorry about that. We'll keep going forwards this time. When you request that new inspection, again, this is what the next page is going to look like. You've got the date there. I think that is actually functionality that we are removing. So you may not have a requested date. We will assign that time and date for you. And then again, there's those fields to add your details about availability and or contact information for the field inspection. Just a couple of notes about types. So pre-wire inspections, you can request a final inspection on a pre-wire auxiliary permit. That's where you have no additional solar capacity. If you are adding solar capacity, you can request a rough, pre-con, or final inspection. Again, all of this can be requested on the aux permit now and should be. You should expect to receive emails anytime you get a permit approval. You request the inspection, schedule it, postpone it, pass or fail it, along with inspector notes. If you don't see that after an inspection, please do reach out to us and we can get that to you. You'll also receive correspondence anytime we do PV meter installations. So that's, again, giving you that PTO email. And then ECP enrollments inspection step update requests as applicable. So if that inspection step is just stuck there after you've passed final inspection, you will see a notice about it. Please do pay attention to that if you've got any that are lingering, and go close that step so that we can go ahead and move forward on that application. All right, so one quick note here, July 2025, so next month, we are expecting to start removing the Smart Shade inspection links so that you guys will no longer use that and will go to the AB&C portal instead. Again, this is something we've been talking about for a while, so hopefully this is not news to you. But please do use the new AB&C process before then so that you can get some familiarity with it and work on any kinks. For example, these inspection emails will go to the email that's listed on your electrical contractor site, registration. And so in the AB&C portal, if you guys have an email address that you're not using that is assigned to your EC account, please do make sure to update that because that's where we expect those emails to go. After July, sometime this summer, we are expecting that you'll only use AB&C for inspection requests. So again, please do familiarize yourself with that new process. Alrighty, submission errors. What's the difference between a rough and a pre-wire? You guys all well know this. Capacity. So of course, if you've got capacity, you would be requesting a rough inspection on an aux permit. If you do not have capacity, it would be a pre-wire final inspection. But again, that's something that you would indicate at the beginning on your permit application. So hopefully that is very clear by the time you get here. Contact person should have a phone number listed. That will be the person our inspectors reach out to the day of and expect to be on site if applicable. So please do make add their name and number if possible so we can coordinate with them on the day of. Alrighty, requesting inspection, permitting errors. So one thing that we do at the very beginning of reviewing your permitting documentation is making sure that the auxiliary electrical permit is the only open electrical permit for this for your site, for your project. If it's not, there are some exceptions. However, we want to make sure that any of that service work is complete and done before we do the final solar inspection so that we're the last one out there and we can close everything off and then allow you guys to get that PV meter installed. So having said that, please do make sure that you have just the auxiliary power electrical permit. It's not expired. It is open and ready to go before requesting that inspection. You'll do so by looking at the same link for Austin Build and Connect. The search portal is also open to the public. So customers can search this without any details, even without an account. So if you guys are curious about this and are not sure what it looks like, feel free to use the link at the bottom of that page. It's a really nice tool, and it's exactly what we'll do to look at your permitting before approving that permit application and moving it on to inspections. All right, CT meters, how to request an inspection. Again, this is something that we're outlining in the DCM at this point so that everybody is aware of this sort of new process. It's been existing for quite some time for the revenue meters. However, we're adding it to the PV or to the CT meter inspection as well for safety purposes for our staff and for our customers and for you all as well. So having said that, all PV meters, all instrument rated PV meters are required to have a CT inspection. For safety purposes, DG services must have a 304 temp inspection first and remain unenergized for inspection without exception. Once that 304 is approved, the permitting system ourselves will notify DMO to install the meter and allow DG service to be energized. Keep in mind that right now that functionality is not present, so you will still have to work with DMO directly to get that that inspection scheduled and meter installed. However, we are working on that so that the system will notify them and you guys don't have to take that extra step. That said, CT meters must not be energized prior to metering inspection. Please do look at the DCM for the proper height requirements as needed. Again, once that 304 is passed, you guys would request the CT inspection there. So future state sort of is that the system will do it. For now, you guys would reach out to DMO. Once the CT inspection passes, dispatch will order the meters to be programmed. Once programmed, dispatch is notified and meters are released for install. Steps 3 and 4 are internal to AE. So please do reach out to AE DMO dispatch as needed for questions around timing on that, but that will all happen outside of your purview. Then once programmed, then they are installed. Dispatch then updates the internal billing system to include the new billing meter. And then AE DMO techs have 5 business days to wire the CT, install the CT meter, and then after that, you guys are eligible to request the final inspection. Alrighty. So last step here, again, for redebated projects, process the EECP step after scheduling final inspection. We just went through the invoice twice. Thanks, Athena, for that first rendition. Sorry, guys, to go back for the second one. But having said that, in the EECP rebate portal, please do update those measures by clicking on the white space, then add the actual visit date, upload the invoice as we just discussed, select work complete, and then answer any other mandatory questions. Make sure you hit save and then select process at the top of the screen. Again, anytime you want to move these applications through the flow, you'll need to hit that process button so that it actually moves on to the next step. Alrighty. Now, looking at invoices, again, we kind of went through this a little while ago, so I'll just touch some high-level details here. So they should be signed by the counterparty, customer, or subcontractor. Again, all of that should match with what's on the CAF and any contracts. Large projects consisting of multiple interconnections or multiple EECP applications can have a single invoice, but do itemize those projects within the invoice so that we can easily match them up to each interconnection. This allows us to match them up, so it makes it a lot more helpful for us. And then, of course, you can see an example there. So for this particular customer, they've got 3 different buildings, 3 different incentives. However, they've got the total cost in this invoice, each one incentivized or each one itemized. So that's what we're looking for in that case. All right, looking at when engineer stamped plans are needed. If you're inside the city, if you've got tilted panels or panels that extend past the roof line, or if you're on the downtown network, you will need that. Now, if you're inside the city or the ATJ, keep in mind that if you're doing ground mounts, solar roof tiles, or batteries, if it's over 500 kilowatts AC, for any commercial DG installations or any utility side interconnections, you will also need engineer stamped plans. And you can review those requirements in the DIG on page 39. So if you've got questions about that, please feel free to go there. Alrighty. So the last couple of steps here, you're going to request that inspection. This step does not happen in ECP as we've gone through. That is A, B, and C. Hopefully that's very clear to everybody on this call. Post-inspection and QA review do happen in ECP. Post-inspections verifying the system has passed and that the as-built specs that were entered into the inspection request align with what was initially initially approved for the project itself. Assuming all of that looks good and is ready to go, we'll pass it on to QA review. And then the QA review is where we look at all of the final documentation, make sure that everything aligns, make sure all the signatures look good and all the dates are aligned as well. We will reach out to you all to make corrections as needed. So please do make sure those are timely and get those back to us as soon as possible. After all of those corrections are completed and everything looks good, we'll initiate payment. It does take about 2 to 4 weeks to receive that check in the mail, so please do keep that in mind. But you should let your customers know that you will see that check, and just to reach out to us at solar@austinenergy.com if you have questions about that. All right, I'm going to pause for questions here. I do see it seems like there were a few in the chat, although the team may have addressed those already. So thanks, team. All right, I think I will turn it back over to Ruby. Thanks, all.
Thanks, Megan. All right. Now some helpful links and who to contact. We have our solar education course. As a reminder, residential rebates must be tied to a solar ed course exam number that will be submitted in EACP and the CAF. One thing I do want to point out on the helpful contacts, it's the next page. If you have any issues logging into ECP or need to reset your password, just any ECP login issues, please direct them to Austin Energy EES Contractor at austinenergy.com. If you send it to solar at Austin Energy, we will just direct it to that email. So to cut down on wait time, we just suggest you send them directly to that email. Anything ECP related, that will just be a lot faster for everyone. But like I said before, we will send out this presentation with all of these clickable links and emails so you can have them for reference. And then lastly, we have a feedback poll. We just want to hear your thoughts. We want to make sure that these meetings are engaging and helpful for you. And so we are just hoping to get some, feedback and, if you have any topics you would like to hear about in the future, please fill out that form and list them. It's going to be super helpful. We don't want to bore you guys, and we want to make sure that, we're giving you the information you need to be successful in our programs. So yeah, fill out that link, and we will also email that to you when we send out this slide deck. And yeah, thank you guys for joining. We'll stay back for a little bit longer, a few more minutes, just in case you guys have any questions that have been unanswered, or if you need to access the links in the chat. Thank you, guys.